Hello and welcome to this video. So by looking at the image or the screen, you would have understood by now that this video is about Vertex. Vertex is a polyglot framework written in Java. So by polyglot, I mean you can use different languages with it. The two main languages are Java and Kotlin, but there is a framework also written for JavaScript. I'm not much of a Java programmer. I don't like Java. I have my own reasons for that because of generics and JVM, GCPOS, or the lack of macros in Java. So for me, Java is not a complete language. But nonetheless, this video is for all the Java developers or companies who are looking for a very highly performant web framework. Vertex is one of the best web frameworks out there. It is very stable and from a reliable organization of Eclipse. So let me present you with numbers. If you look at latest round of Java frameworks, then Vertex is right there at the top. I believe Redcale is another Java framework, but I would not rely on Redcale. Rather, I would rely on Vertex. It is at 7th position. One of the most important factors when deciding on a framework is the 1 query and 20 query column, because that is the database access. This is for Postgres, the database performance of the framework. So Vertex scores quite nicely there, 32,000 for 20 query and 581,000 for 1 query, while Redcale is slightly better for both of those. But if I have to choose a highly concurrent, fast async framework, then I will go with Vertex. It is based on the reactor design pattern, and it is fairly stable. Plus, a lot of people use it. And if you are thinking of developing your next generation web application or a microservice where you require high concurrency async stuff, then you can use this. And a lot of people are involved in this. You can see it's a huge list. It has a lot of libraries for it, which you can see in the documentation. So for example, if you look at docs, you see there is core Vertex, and Vertex is, there is an IO Uring engine. What is IO Uring is, I'll try to explain this. This is user mode IO on Linux kernel, which is blazing fast. It is the next generation of ePOL, and ePOL was ePOL is succeeded by IO Uring. Before ePOL, we had select and poll, and ePOL was magnitudes of order faster than select and poll, and IO Uring is user mode, disk IO, and native working. So we have got lots of web clients, web. Note that traditional synchronous frameworks you should not use with Vertex. Rather, if you want to use something for, say, for example, SQL, then you should use Postgres client specified here or MySQL client. Since this is asynchronous event-driven framework, so there is an event loop, and all of your code should be asynchronous, and it should not block the async loop. So if you look at the benchmark of Vertex, it is sitting at 7th position at 84.7% compared to NTech. Now, NTech is a Rust framework. I personally use NTech. I used to use vertx, but NTech is based on vertx, and vertx is somewhat below. Now, we won't use Vertex Core, rather you would use Vertex Web, which is slightly below ASP.NET. So still it is very solid at sitting at position 16, one of the fastest and stable Java framework. Now, if you are a Java developer, you must be aware of Spring. Now, if you look at Spring, its numbers are way worse than what we have. So I'm not sure if it is for Spring Boot, but Spring is very bad compared to Vertex. For Spring Boot, you might find a different benchmark. I'm not sure. I even don't know what is the difference between Spring and Spring Boot because I never cared about Spring framework. I understand that Spring is quite mature. There are lots of features and this and that. But for all the good reasons, I would strongly recommend you to consider Vertex for your next gen web application. There are things which you can bypass for large scale applications. For example, the biggest problem on large scale Java is the JVM pause that we can bypass using commercial virtual machines like Agile Julu. So Agile Julu will get rid of the JVM pause. Plus, you can use the entire ecosystem of Java, not entire, but a lot of code base, which is asynchronous. You can use it with the Vertex. So if you look at the features of Vertex, it is resource efficient because it is not based on blocking IO, it is based on async IO, and its nature is event-driven reactive framework. So it manages resources much better. It is concurrent and asynchronous. I wouldn't want to repeat it. Flexible, it is flexible. It's a toolkit. So you can consider it as a library and you can cherry pick whatever you want and use it with your Vertex application. Vertex is fun. Well, this is subjective. I wouldn't go with this. Ecosystem, there are lots of libraries for web, databases, messaging, event system, cloud, and all other things. So if you look at the version number of Vertex, it is 4.5.0. So that means that it has been there for quite some time. I don't remember exactly, but even 5 years earlier, I have seen Vertex. The advantage is that suppose you are developing not a web application, but rather a mobile application which requires backend. Now, most of the Android applications these days are written using Kotlin, which people say is a better version of Java for whatever reasons. I don't know. Maybe Kotlin is a great language. So suppose you are writing a mobile application using Kotlin and you want a backend. Then, as I have shown, you can use the Kotlin version of Vertex, and you can build your mobile application in Kotlin as well as your backend in Kotlin. So this will give you very nice homogeneous stack to further develop on, and it uses Kotlin coroutines. So with coroutines, the syntax becomes very simple. The problem with the promise or future is that the syntax is somewhat complicated and it makes it difficult to read the code written using future and promises. Coroutines, on the other hand, the syntax or the way code is written is very simple. The syntax is very pleasing on eyes, and you just have to use basically two keywords, async and await, and the rest of it is sort of same as synchronous or blocking code. So if I have to do a new web application, I would probably use Kotlin version, not the Java version. So Kotlin along with this is very good. Now consider you are using Kotlin, then the default framework is Skater. Skater sits at 52nd position, 34.7%, way better than Spring, but still nowhere close to Vertex Web. Vertex Web is sitting at 75.5% of framework of performance as compared to NTech. So I think I will let you look at Vertex in deep by yourself. You can experiment with it and try to see. As a developer, it would be best because in the case that you want to do something on your own or you want to increase your knowledge, Then if you already know Spring Boot, very good. You can learn Vertex. If you don't know anything about web application, then I'll still recommend Spring first. The reason is it is easier to find a job in Spring Boot, and later on you can learn about Vertex. Now, if you are in a position of deciding the tech stack for your next great web application or mobile backend or mobile application backend, then in that case, Vertex will suit very nicely. And I would implore you to use Vertex. You can rest assured that the quality of the framework is or library is very high because it comes from Eclipse Foundation. And I think I will end this video here. I hope that you find this video useful and informative. And I'll wait for your responses in the comment section, and hope that it has been helpful. Thanks a lot for watching. Happy programming.